local state representative says her work isn't finished on a bill that could protect victims of domestic violence in Pennsylvania. Anita Kulik is the main sponsor behind Elena's Law, named after Pitt student Elena Shahet. The bill that would make electronic monitoring an option if a defendant violates a PFA. Now, Kulik says she has bipartisan support, but it's stuck in committee. She says she'll rewrite the bill to give it a better chance of passing.
Today, Kulik met with leaders in Washington County to hear about the success of their electronic monitoring program. Only on KDKA, Amy Wattis reports on what she learned.
State Representative Anita Kulik met with the Washington County Chief Adult Probation and Parole Officer here at the courthouse to get some pointers on how to rewrite Elena's Law. Now, the Adult Probation Office runs the electronic monitoring program when it comes to criminal domestic violence cases in the county, and she's hoping that the state could use this program as a model if the legislation would pass. It's called the Buddy System. John Ridge is in charge of the program, which has been in place in Washington County for about 5 years, and he says it's the only one of its kind in the state.
It's a condition of the bail or the bond.
Ridge says a defendant in certain criminal domestic violence cases may be required to wear an electronic monitoring bracelet as a condition of bail, and the victim is given a GPS monitoring device that alerts them when the perpetrator is nearby.
The victim in the case actually has a GPS device on them, which means that there's an exclusion zone essentially around the person.
Ridge says his team is alerted anytime an offender gets close to the victim, and his team will call police if they need to. His staff is also alerted if the offender tries to cut the bracelet off.
We want to make sure that the perpetrator in the case was not in contact with you.
Ridge says there's between 15 and 25 cases in the county hooked up to the Buddy tracker right now, and they are monitored by his team 24/7. We talked to a victim who believes she wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the program. We protected her identity.
It's wonderful. They know where I am at all times. They know where the abuser is at all times.
She said anytime her abuser passes through an exclusion zone, even if it's by accident, she gets these text alerts from the Buddy team making her aware that they are close by.
For victims of abuse, it's very scary because you don't know, especially if you live in the same area, you might happen to bump into them.
I believe it is a system that absolutely can be worked through the whole state.
State Representative Anita Kulik is trying to push legislation through in Harrisburg that would order a defendant to wear an electronic monitoring device if a judge believes they might violate a PFA. She says she plans on rewriting the legislation with Ridge's program in mind.
Probably to address the criminal side of the PFA. So PFAs are civil, but there's always some kind of criminal aspect involved.
John Ridge thinks Kulik's idea is a good one and commends his program for saving a lot of lives.
I know for a fact that there have been, more than a handful of victims that have been saved because we had this in place.
Kulik says she plans on rewriting the legislation right away. Reporting outside of the Washington County Courthouse, Amy Wattis, KDKA News.